Well, it's that sit-down time of day again. I've come up to the industrial north, where this man, his handsome, Botham-esque almost looking character, I always call him, Ben Davison, is ensconced in camp with Billy Joe Saunders. We'll talk about Billy in a little while, but I want to ask you first of all, Ben, you did a brilliant fight breakdown of Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder 1, December the 1st, 2018, that you were an intrinsic part of. And in that, you really did exploit the weaknesses and strengths of Deontay Wilder, and really didn't give any weaknesses to Tyson Fury, because he is a very fluid, clever, intelligent, comfortable boxer who, it seemed to me in that breakdown, you were kind of saying, just needs to activate the right game plan to get the victory.
At top level, it boils down to game plan, because when you've got two elite fighters, and whether anybody likes it or not, Deontay Wilder's an elite level fighter, it boils down to game plans, because you go in there with the wrong tactics, either man can lose that fight with the wrong game plan. I believe that it's Tyson's for the winning, in terms of he's the more rounded fighter. And when I did that thing for BT Sport, I said to him, you know, I'm not going to break down Tyson and weaknesses in Tyson. I'll explain some strengths that he's got, because with those strengths, no matter what Wilder does, you can't prevent him doing them, you know. Every area is covered, but the only thing that I explained about was obviously the resetting with the face touch. But the reason I mentioned that as well was to say to Wilder's team, look, we are aware of it, so that they know they're not going to get away with it again. Let
me ask you in a more generic way. It's great to see you look very well, by the way, and you know, obviously I think there's a lot of people saddened that you're not in camp with Tyson, but clearly you're still quite focused on the fight, even though you're doing work with other boxers at the moment. Yeah,
of course. Listen, Tyson's he's like a brother to me, so you know, I care very, very deeply. It's going to be a very, very nerve-wracking time for me.
Will you be out in Vegas?
I will be going, yeah, and obviously I want to see him succeed, so it'll definitely be a nerve-wracking time. I want to see him do it, but I also want to, for me, we've sent a few texts, but it's a very difficult time going into a big fight. You know, I don't want to get into the conversation talking about boxing with him where, you know, they've got a game plan, they need to stick with that, and you don't want to make it confusing for the fighter. So, you know, listen, obviously I want to see him do it, and hopefully when I get over there I'll see him for a minute or so before, and obviously, you know, we're all praying that he can do it, which I know that he can.
One of the fascinating things about you, and I think you're shifting the paradigm in terms of training, not that it hasn't been done before, but certainly enunciating it and elucidating it for fans, is the study of people's tics and habits and what they do, and that there are brain patterns going on when people fight. And the older they get and the more set in these ruts they get, there are certain things that we do. People always say, of course, when you get punched in the face, game plan goes out to the window and you revert to type. But you're suggesting that the nuances, that there are lots of types and levels that fighters and boxers do, that is just part of the way they are as a person and the way they fight.
Yeah, but I will also say trainers have to take a blame for that as well, because I'll be honest, it's a weakness. To have a pattern, to have any sort of pattern or something that you do too often or you do for too long is a weakness.
Is that why you study it then?
That's why. It's just a part of boxing that I study, a part of boxing that I focus on. When people talk about game plans, and I think sometimes people get the misconception that a game plan is okay in the 6th second I want you to step this way, or in the after 1 minute I want you to move into this area of the ring, or I want you to throw, or
you've just got to win it on your jab.
Yeah,
because it's more complex than that, isn't it? The whole setup of it all.
The common one is, you know, a certain combination. I want you to double jab, right hand, left hook, right hand, left uppercut, right uppercut, left hook, right handed. Realistically, that's not something that's realistic. But when you talk about game plans, it's okay. When he does this, you do that. When you give him this look, this is the look he's going to give back to you. When he gives you this look, this is what you need to do. After you do that, this is what you need to do. Scenarios. You talk about scenarios. And as a trainer, I try to be a step ahead of the fighter that they're getting in with to say, I know that when you do this, this is how he will react. And the biggest thing is positioning, where the fight is taking place and what to do in different positions. But in terms of, like I say, on the 6 second I want you to do this, and then after 30 seconds I want you to throw this combination, it's just not realistic. Different distances, how to maintain the distances, how to create the distances, and the biggest thing is drilling it. When you drill it into someone, using the changing room for Tyson Wilder first fight. I went through patterns, certain patterns over and over and over and over of when Wilder stepped in a certain way, when he stepped across a certain way, how Tyson needs to react to have a safe exit and to stay safe in that fight. And it worked, and that's why when you drill it into somebody, it becomes second nature, and that's how you have to make it. So it just becomes naturally, because in a fight you can't think, okay, so like I say, it's now the 6 seconds and I need to do this, and I need to, he's moved his left hand 6 inches this way. That's not going on. It needs to be drilled into you, where when it happens, it just happens naturally. And if you've not got to that point, the trainer's not done their job, in my opinion.
I love this term you came up with, offense disguise, that Wilder uses. It's almost like the killer inching towards you, isn't it?
Yeah.
That, like you say, when he sits back and his right hand is cocked between his nipple and his hip, it is literally him with the trigger cocked, isn't it? And so that's when you don't want your guy moving forwards. Tyson knows all these things now, though, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. And you know, another reason why I wanted to do that BT Sport thing was I wanted to have, at the time I hadn't spoke to him, but filming. So I wanted to be able to say to him, if you want to take it, that's my view. If you don't want to take it, it's fine. But the option is there for him to take it if you want.
Listen, I was there when you two and Billy Joe all got together. We ran through fountains in Marbella together. It's like a long time ago now. I feel like we were all teenagers then. But, you know, I had the privilege of being there around you guys when you first got to know him. Yeah. And, you know, it's with a certain sadness that you're not there. But it's kind of like, clearly, you want him to win. Yeah. Clearly, you want him to be aware of all the things that you're thinking about for him, because do you believe that JDS, who's also a clever man,
a phenomenal trainer,
yes,
very
Wilder's trainer, he'll be
smarter than what people, and a lot of people smarter than what people perceive. I think he's keeps himself to himself, does his job.
He's not after the limelight anyway, is he?
After the limelight whatsoever. And I saw an interview of him the other day, and he said he come in with Wilder and he'll leave with Wilder.
Yeah.
Often when someone doesn't have that big, long stretch, you sort of, their body of work isn't as big, it doesn't mean they're not as good. I think he's a phenomenal trainer. I know that certain things he's looking at and works on for Wilder.
Because they've got to change it up a little bit, haven't they?
They have, yeah, and he knows that.
Because don't we kind of... We know that Wilder fights a certain way and can do certain things. We know he's, like you say, a very decent boxer. It's an incredible resume he's got.
Yeah.
He's got this equalising punch in right and left hands. Arguably, and the case is being made even more forcibly all the time, maybe one of the most devastating single punch knockout merchants of all time.
I believe he is.
Yeah. But Tyson has more in his armoury to be versatile with. Yes. So Wilder's got to have some tricks, because he can't just inch forwards and wait for Tyson. But you've got a theory that Wilder might kind of come out and fight in a different way this time as well.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're able to tell me about that.
Yeah, one of the way that I would describe it is, if you're crossing a road, if you're forever crossing a road and there's forever traffic coming through, car after car after car after car, and you cross this road every day, you're fully aware that there's constant cars, what do? You look out for the cars.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to get hit by a car.
And you're on edge.
And you're aware of it, because you know there's constant cars coming. So when Wilder's forever throwing the right and looking for it, you're very aware of it. When you come across a road where you've walked past it 1,000 times and there's never come a car across past, that's probably the road that you're going to get hit by a car on, because you get complacent and you switch off and I know nothing's coming. I believe that he may try to use that tactic in terms of forget about the right hand for 3-4 rounds. use his jab, stick behind his jab, and try to lull Tyson into a full sense of security, in the sense that, right, I can press him, I can press him, I can press him, and then all of a sudden he brings one in. Wilder's a lot better fighter, and obviously for me going up against him as a trainer, I have to dissect him and pull out the negatives as well as the positives. And obviously when I talk to the media, I'm not going to talk.
But beyond all of that, it's easy to say all these things. You had a guy who's got incredible timing, boxing skills, presence of mind, an amazing eye, courage, and all those other things that go with it. It makes Tyson a special person, though, doesn't it? A special fighter.
A special fighter. That's why you couldn't write him off winning in any fashion.
Yeah.
Because he's just a special human being, a special fighter, and you wouldn't bet against him doing it in the second round. A lot of people say it's madness, but you wouldn't bet against him because he's just that type of person. If he says he's going to do something, a lot of the time he's able to do it.
So you're saying that he could enact that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Do not write it off.
Based on what he knows about boxing.
It's risky.
Yeah.
And he's taking chances. Yes, of course he's taking chances.
Yeah.
Chances being that could happen, but that could happen. But I wouldn't say that it's impossible for Tyson, definitely not.
There's been a lot of footage of you in that 12th round, even throughout the whole fight in the first fight. A lot of that footage in the 12th round, praying to God, fighting with people at the ringside, telling people to shut up, you're doing your job, all that kind of stuff. People actually getting in your way, frankly.
Yeah.
When you look back on that 12th round, can you remember the emotions you went through?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I did think that it was over. When a fighter gets knocked down, they're going to get back up. Often there's something moving, you know, their hands moving, their foot's moving, they're trying to... There was no movement, and I genuinely thought, you know, the ref's just going to wave it off, so I'm going. And then all of a sudden I got in an argument, and as I looked around he was on his feet, so then I'm trying to have a good look to think, okay, listen, I know the ref's an experienced ref and be able to do his job, but do I need to do something here, and I need to assess the situation. I know Wilder's a formidable finisher. And then Tyson managed to get hold of him, and then what does Tyson do? Puts his hands behind his back, and I'm thinking, then bang, pulls a shot out of the bag. Actually, a shot that I'm saying will work for him, a left hook, I believe, will be an effective shot for him at the right times, and it was an effective shot that got him out of trouble.
When Wilder's thrown his right, and he's open with his own left, then, isn't he, at that point? Yeah.
When he throws the right hand, when he throws the left hook, the right hand
when he throws the
comes
left
away.
hook, yeah, that's right, yeah.
And
it opens up his body, doesn't it? For something up the middle.
It done a massive job for Tyson in terms of breaking that period and scenario down for Tyson to then be able to take control of the situation. So yeah, it's a fascinating fight.
And obviously you're going to be there ringside on the night, February the 22nd. Is it going to be quite tough watching it? Is it because obviously you're close friends. I know you're still in touch with each other. You're wishing them well all the way anyway. Yeah. You know, it just hasn't worked out for you guys in this instance. Is it going to be hard sitting there watching it? Are you going to be as nervous as you are when you're in the corner?
When I'm in the corner, I don't get nervous.
Okay.
Because I can give the information that I feel I need to give.
Oh, it's going to be worse this time
then? A lot worse. When I can't give the information that I feel I need to give what the fighter needs, makes me terrible. Like, in the corner, I'm probably one of the most... The lawyer always says to me, like, you're so calm. And sometimes I think people think I'm too calm, but I'm assessing and I'm doing my job and I'm working, so emotions go out of it then. Tyson's not my friend, he's my fighter. Or any fighter that I'm working with for that matter. When I can't give that information, it's very nerve-wracking because I feel, you need to be aware of this, or this is what you need to do, and it makes me very, because I can't give the information that I feel needs to be given. And you're sort of I'm putting trust in somebody else to give the correct information. So this, I suppose, is how, you know, I understand how Tyson's family members feel when he's fighting and they're putting trust in me to give him the right advice.
A couple of other things finally. Do you have any instinct that obviously it hasn't worked for this fight and things, you know, for one reason or another, and you both explained it already, that it just didn't work out, you couldn't agree on this camp. Do you think instinctively that you and he may work again in the future? Potentially.
I've worked with Billy Joe. Billy Joe's worked with somebody else. I've worked with Billy Joe again. I don't take it personally. So potentially, yeah, I wouldn't see why not. It's one of them.
And is this fight for the #1 in the world?
Yeah, 100%.
And finally, with Billy Joe trying to text you right now to get you to come back and take him to the gym because he can't do it on his own. I tell him he's a grown man from me. Yeah. No, I know you've got to go. What's going to happen with Billy Joe this summer, do you think? What's your optimism for him?
Yeah, listen.
What fight do you want?
He's been world champion since 2015. In that period from 2015 to now, he's been world champion for 5 years. In that other period, you've had Jacobs, Canelo, Golovkin. They've all boxed each other, had rematches. He's the only one that's sort of been isolated. He deserves his opportunity.
Lovely. Canelo would be good though, wouldn't it?
Canelo would be perfect.
Could he beat Canelo?
100%, no doubt in my mind.
Thanks very much, mate.
No problem.
Cheers. I just want to say again, I've got this thing now, my habit of thanking the people I'm with. Great to speak to you as always, yeah? I mean, I'm sad you're not there, but I'm so glad you're going to be there on Fight Week. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Cheers.